And where are you? Where are you located?
In Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, in here in Minnesota, it's like oddly warm. My boys are supposed to have an outdoor hockey tournament this weekend, and it's going to be almost 40. I'm worried it's going to be too warm.
Oh, wow. Yeah, definitely. That's so opposite. It's like every place is feeling things they don't normally feel this time of year. Hi, little one. How are you? What's your name? Hi. He's like, I'm out of here, man. The computer's talking. And I see a little, is it a cat or a dog back there? The white? Yeah.
Yeah, that's Big Gus. That's why I have to mute myself because he hears me talking but he doesn't see anyone. So he's like, "Who's here? Storm. Who's around?"
It's like a dog, yeah. Big Gus, that's cool.
Gus, yeah, he's a big Great Pyrenees. He's huge.
Oh, I love that. That's fun.
See, that's why I mute myself.
Oh yeah, he's like very excited.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, my name's Michi.
Hi.
I just wanted to make sure that you guys could hear me.
I think so. I don't use Zoom a lot, but I can hear you. I don't know. Should we start or should we just hang out and wait for Nicole? Is Nicole on or?
You know what? I think we need to wait because we had a different Zoom number, so everyone is still trying to get on.
Oh, you all have the wrong number. Okay, so we're all in the same boat.
Yeah. I think something with her number, and she's using her sister's, it looked like, or somebody else's.
Oh, yeah.
I was so worried. I'm on my PC and on my house phone. I mean, on my cell phone.
So you're doubling up.
Yep.
Oh, and Nicole said her computer froze, but it's connecting right now. She just texted me.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so welcome. She should be on in just a second. Thank you so much, Shannon, for being on this call. I'm super excited.
Yeah, I'm stoked to be here. I'm super pumped too. I'd love to hear like where you guys are calling from. We have people from all around, right?
Yeah.
I think we've got a lot of Minnesota and Wisconsin and Washington, I think.
Yeah,
I know. I'm from Seattle, Washington. Michi.
Okay.
Hi. Hi, Shannon.
Hi.
This is Nicole. It might say Jessica. I don't know.
I can't see you, but I
Jessica.
Hello.
Sorry for all the confusion, everyone, with the links. And I don't know W2F I did. But anyway, sorry, Shannon, for our guest.
We're all here.
In light of letting you just getting started, first, I just wanted to thank you so much for doing this for us. We're all loving your book. I'm on my second time through. I also have Find Your Happy, and I follow your YouTube videos and newsletter. So I'm so excited, and I'm so sorry this happened. I know most of you may know a little bit about her because you're in her mind, you're reading her book, but I did want to give a brief introduction, and then I'll let her get started. So Shannon, if you didn't know, she is an author. She's also a travel writer. She does a lot of speaking around the world, actually. And she's also a life coach, too. She does business and life coach mentoring. She lives in Portland, Oregon with her dog, Tucker. Yay! And one cool thing, because I know all of us read a lot of Mind, Body, Green articles. I'm sure you've read like 20 to 50 articles that have been written by Shannon. And she's one of the top 100 to watch in wellness by Mind, Body, Green. And I think actually, Shannon, your article that you wrote about the top 10 books or something, and your book was in there, is how I found out about you on Mind, Body, Green too.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
So I'm going to let you go. So thank you.
Cool. Yeah, welcome, guys. It's exciting to hear. So this is a book club. Tell me a little bit more about this. What you guys do each month?
Well, we probably meet now more quarterly. We pick a personal development book. So every day we're reading personal development just to grow ourselves. So we do choose a book. Sometimes we choose a book as a team. And this time we chose this book because I fell in love with the book and I wanted to share it with some other people. And then I think Alyssa had mentioned, hey, let's do a book club with this. So I'm like, yeah, I was thinking about that, but I'm glad other people are interested in with it too. So we just get together usually and talk about our own personal takeaways, any quotes that stand out, and any things that really resonate with us as well. So nothing too formal.
Yeah, super. That's cool. So you guys, for the most part, are probably reading Adventures for Your Soul. And I wanted to prepare like a mini workshop for you. You know, could be fun for you. So I've taken, if you're reading the book, some of the tips are in there, but I wanted to go a little deeper for you guys and just chat with you.
1 second, Janet. Can everyone mute themselves? Margot, can you mute yourself? Let's see. Michi, maybe mute yourself too. Sorry, I heard background noise and I want to be able to hear you, Shannon. Okay. I
think we're good. Can you guys hear me now? Like a nod of the head. Yeah, we're good. Super. So I thought it would be really good to just connect with you guys. I love connecting with readers, and I am definitely living my dream life now as a life coach and as an author. I get to work and write from anywhere in the world, and it's such a dream come true. I wanted to just tell you a little bit more. As you know, if you're reading Adventures for Your Soul, about my backstory. Just 6 years ago, I was in advertising, climbing a corporate ladder that was completely different than what I'm doing today. And I got to a place where I was like, there's got to be more to life. And I think we all have moments in our life, no matter what, whether it's climbing the corporate ladder, we have a situation with a relationship. I've been working towards this. I thought this is what I kind of was a catalyst to me waking up to my life purpose, which is to help other people find their purpose and really more passion and live a life that feels meaningful. I'm committed to helping people live lives that they're super proud of and being an inspiration for everyone around them as well, because I think we can lift up all of those in our life when we show up fully for ourselves. So today I have some little inspiration that I want to share with you, and then I really want to just talk with you. I want to open it up, and you guys can pick my brain, whatever. I'm here for you to answer whatever that looks like. So if you have questions or just a chit chat, whatever. So, but I've prepared a little mini workshop, if you will, for just a couple key takeaways that I have, like if I was, people lately have been asking me, like, what was the pivotal moment, like when you really knew that, you know, your life was really going to change? And like, that's a question that's hard to answer, because I think every day we're always changing. We're always showing up for ourselves. Every day we show up for ourselves in one way or another. And I think the goal is to show up fully for yourself as often as you can. And sometimes it's literally, I posted on my Facebook the other day, I've seen some of you on there, thank you, yay, it's great to be on there, that sometimes it's just being compassionate with yourself if you have to take a day where you don't do everything that's on your list, or you have to just relax. And so really what I'm committed to is honoring the rhythms of our soul in each moment, because that's how we become more fully available for our life purpose. That's how we can show up more fully. I will say that the number one principle that I want to share is that we get what we focus on. And I talk about this, of course, throughout Adventures for Your Soul, you know, and why I left corporate. I was so depressed and I was focusing on what wasn't working. And it got to a place where I said, you know what, if I want to change my life, change my direction, then I have to change what I'm focusing on. And that became a pivotal moment for me. And so I want to offer to all of you guys here, what are you focusing on? And is it, are you getting the results that you want, is also another way to ask yourself this question. Because sometimes we move forward and we really say, I want more clarity, I want more passion in my life, I want more play time, I want more time, I want my family to understand me. and we're not getting the results. And a lot of the times it's because of the thoughts that are really kind of leading up to that. So we think, gosh, my husband's not doing this, or my children aren't doing this, or I'm not really having any time to show up for me. And it's a negative kind of battlefield up in our head. It's actually like a chaotic craziness up in here. And so I really think we want to become aware of what's going on up here. My bestest friend in the whole world, she has 2 toddlers, and I hang out with her all the time. And she's always down on herself. And I'm like, are you kidding? You're doing amazing. And I think from a mom mentality, I know we have a lot of moms on the call, we always feel like we're not doing enough. I'm not a mom of a child, but, like with my life and my babies of my books and my dog and stuff, it's not the same thing, I understand. But you get what I mean, where we feel like maybe we need to be doing more. And so the first thing is to pay attention to that voice in your head that's telling you you're not good enough. You're not fast enough, showing up enough, smart enough, pretty enough, rich enough, have enough time. Enough, right? Enough is what I'm saying about this. So if you have a pen and paper with you, I'm going to give you an awesome opportunity, a little workshop here, is to ask yourself, where can I be more compassionate with myself, starting with you? And you can also say, what have I been focusing on? What is it I've been focusing on? And am I getting the results that I want? I'm waving at the little ones there. And so ask yourself, how can I be more compassionate with myself? And I want to put yourself on maybe a 10, 15 day. Let's do, what is it? Today is, let's do till February 14th, Valentine's Day. Did you guys know that February 13th is International Self-Love Day? So we could do it till February 13th, okay? International Self-Love Day. I want you to just commit for 2 weeks, solid weeks with, of course, it's leap year, so we have a couple days in there extra, of really showing up for yourself by becoming aware of your thoughts. And then what we do is so these thoughts come into our mind that are very negative, and they can say, I'm not doing it enough, or gosh, that person said something, and we go over it in our head. And instead of like over analyzing, stop that thought and shift it. And I talk about this in my Fear Detox chapter in Adventures for Your Soul. So you see the thought, the negative thought, and then you stop it, shift it, and then you want to transform it by turning to a more loving thought. And this is it's a practice. You do it daily, each moment when these fear-based and these negative thoughts come in, because we have to be our own friends. We have to talk kindly to ourselves to really be there for others. So I think that's a step to, if anything comes up as I'm sharing, feel free to ask in your comments. But, I think that's a really good first place to start, is how can I be more compassionate with myself, starting with me, starting with the conversation up here. The next one I want to share with you is actually, this is interesting because I talk about this in the book as well, but I talk about really getting clear with what your results are. So I'd like all of you to think about what it is you want right now for yourself, for your family, for your life. Is there a goal you're really working on? Maybe it's a specific goal that you're working on with a significant other or family, or a goal for you. Maybe you want to write that book that keeps popping up in your mind, or maybe you want to go to get a new job, whatever it may be. Maybe you want a new house. Think about that goal. And then I want you to really get clear about the results that you want around that goal, like really crystal clear. But on that token, think about the reasons. So step number 2 that I'm going to share with you is to put your reasons over your results. Put your reasons over your results. What do I mean by this? Is a lot of the times, and I'm actually working on my next book right now, and I talk a lot about this, is so often we don't see the results that we want fast enough, so we abandon our dreams, or we give up on our goals, or we think we're not good enough again. We fall back into the feeling of we suck, right? And so really what I want you to do is get in touch with your reasons why you're doing it. Why are you wanting this goal? And a lot of times we may think that it's because of an outward thing, like, oh, the people around us will be happier, I'll have more money, I'll finally be happy myself. But usually it always comes back down even deeper. Go even deeper. And it goes back down to like a core attribute or something that you need. So for example, something that I talk about in Adventures for Your Soul, of course, is my kind of journey of really discovering and falling in love with myself and my body, like falling in love with body love. I had this long, long battle of hating my body, hating who I was. I gained weight, lost weight, all this thing, back and forth. And I'd go on these diets saying, I have to lose weight. And then I'd go into the diets, and if they didn't work, of course, then I'd beat myself up. But that didn't mean that I was doing it wrong. And it wasn't until I switched to, why am I doing this? Why am I focusing? It's not to get the number on the scale, which previously I thought that might be it, right? I want to be in a smaller pant size, or I want to look good on TV, whatever. But all of those were outward things. And it wasn't until I realized that I want to really just thrive. I want to live as long as I can. I want to be as healthy as I can. That was a different focus. And the reasons why are what led me to get into a healthier lifestyle and see the results I wanted without being attached to seeing the results. Because if you don't see the results in a timely manner, you could get really frustrated. Now, whatever your goal is, it could be to lose weight, it could be make money, it could be whatever. You can focus on the reasons why you want it, and that's going to help you feel more connected to your goal. So if you are working towards that dream, and right now you don't have the results that you want, then instead of saying, gosh, I'm off track, simply say, well, why am I doing this? And what can I do today to move me closer towards that feeling? Again, it comes back to the feeling. Abraham and Esther Hicks are Hay House authors, and they talk a lot about the feelings. Danielle Lepore is also a life coach who really attributes a lot of her work in the feeling base, and I believe it's such a powerful thing. I even have a chapter called Free Your Feelings on getting in touch with how you want to feel. So if you feel frustrated or depressed or sad or you're mad or you're not getting the results you want, simply stop for a moment and say, how can I shift to maybe 1 or 2 steps higher, 1 or 2% higher of feeling better? So this would look like maybe feeling very frustrated. I'd get on the scale, didn't lose the weight. I'd return to my reasons why. I want to feel good in my body. And feeling good is my number one priority. So how can I feel good in this moment? Well, I'll get off the scale, right? And I'll go drink water. I'll go take a long walk with my dog, or I'll go for a jog or go to spinning class. Do things that are feeling good will help you feel better, and commit to showing up to the feeling you truly want. So ask yourself, power question number 2 is, how do I want to feel? How do I want to feel in relation to this goal that I'm working towards? And then you can also say, what are my reasons? So question within that question is, what are my reasons? Why do I really want this? And of course, understanding the results you want, but letting go of when you get those. And so I think the next thing you really want to do is really, number 3, is to commit to yourself, commit to your dream, and commit to showing up for yourself. I work with a lot of moms in my life coaching practice. I do an author mentorship, and it's hard when you're running a family. I understand completely. And I have one client who really wants to write a book, and she has this dream, and it's been in her for 15 years. And as we started to work together, I said, well, what does committing to yourself look like? And I think we all have to commit to ourselves. And that meant showing up and setting time in your day. So she actually got up earlier each day to write. And as she carved out a half hour each day, she was able to have a more fulfilling day because she showed up for herself. Now, some people are morning people, some people are evening people, but I think committing to you, we feel like we don't have time. We feel like we can't show up for ourselves because we're all over the place. But the opposite is true. When you actually show up for yourself first, then everyone else around you can flourish and really shine as well. I call it Me Matters. There's a whole chapter, right, on Me Matters in the book. Again, and it's about you showing up for you because you matter. So what is that dream in your heart of hearts? What is it? And then allowing yourself to take action steps daily towards that is going to really align with your inner self. You're going to feel more jazzed up. You're going to really inspire those around you. And guess what? You're making your dreams come true. So I think that's going to be a really powerful way to move you forward. So I'm going to share one more, and then I want to open it up for question and answers, kind of a quick little highlighted version of some things, key takeaways from the book. But I think it's very important to recognize that you are always exactly where you're supposed to be. And I want to share that because sometimes we put so much pressure on ourselves because we feel like we're off track, or we feel like we're not where we should be, or we feel like we're just not as good as the neighbor, we're not as good as, whatever it may be. And there's so much pressure that it keeps us from moving forward. So instead, turn that to compassion. Instead of feeling like you're off track, recognize that everything you're going through right now is part of your next step. Every client you're working with, every person you're working with, every household situation that comes up is actually preparing you, grooming you, leading you for what it is, the next phase of your life. And I think it really does come back to being in the journey, because that journey is the reward. On that token, I'll share that I think it's important we follow our joy route the whole entire book is laid out with joy routes, and then there's a whole chapter, because joy is the thing that brings us the most incredible love in our life. When we feel joy, I think it's the most powerful emotion. And what a joy route is, it's the joy in your life. So the more joy you feel, the more successful you will be. Sometimes you may feel like you're not where you want to be. You may feel like you're not getting the results you want. And ask yourself, am I having fun? And a lot of times there's so much pressure that the joy is not there. And so you want to reverse it and say, well, how can I have more fun today? How can I have more fun in this particular situation that's causing me stress? This looks like maybe you have a client that isn't seeing results, or you're frustrated because you're not having as many clients as you want, and say, well, how can I have more joy in the marketing of my business? Or how can I have more joy with, looking for new schools for my children? Whatever it is, add joy into it and let that be the barometer for your success. Because I truly believe that when you are aligned and really connected with joy, everything can come to you, because that's an infectious energy, and that's really an energy that people want to be around. And it's also your soul's calling. It's adventures for your soul, so to speak. So that's what I have for you, a mini workshop. I wanted to just share some tips that really, if I were to boil the book down in maybe 3 or 4 kind of steps, I would say that. So I said number 3 was you're always supposed to be you're always where you're supposed to be. And really that one's about taking the pressure off. What I also say with that one is we're always going through what it is we really need. And that's another way to look at it. Sometimes we resist certain situations. Maybe we get laid off, our husband, something gets laid off, and we get frustrated. But there's a life lesson involved. And so really that one's about understanding that everything that's happening in your life is grooming you for something that you've asked for, something that you're working towards, something that is maybe around the corner that we can't see. A beautiful example of that is my book, Adventures for Your Soul, came out last August. It was very exciting, yay. And then I already had the idea for my next book. Like even on my book tour, people were like, what's next? I'm like, oh, I'm already writing on my book. And 6 months later, just 6 months later, we were under contract. We had to wait for my other publisher to basically say if they wanted to work with me for my next book. And so we had to wait, and we waited. And then the contract date passed, and they still didn't tell us. So I felt like I was kind of in energetic handcuffs. And I was like, man, my big goal is to get my next book out. I'd love to get it out in 2016. And I had to really trust the timing. And I returned to the principle that you're always exactly where you need to be. And then something beautiful happened in the month of December. I completely surrendered and let go 100%. And I went through this amazing spiritual growth myself. And I was able to release a lot, like negative energy, release people in my life that weren't working, release weight, all of these things. And I realized that was part of the next book. If I sold the book before that, then maybe that wouldn't have been part of the process. And so here we are in the beginning of January, and I have like 5 or 6 publishers super interested, and we're going to finalize negotiations this week. It's like amazing. And I knew that it was exactly the right time, and the right publisher was ready to receive this work as well. So it's about trusting the timing of your dreams too. I hope that helps. That was to answer the question there. So, okay, good. So let's open it up for Q&A, guys. What do you guys have? How are you? We have, I guess you can chime in on connections on the call, or if anything, if you have questions, or if anything came up as I was sharing, if you want to pick my brain, maybe something about Adventures for Your Soul, I'd love to just hear from you guys. I'm here to just connect.
I have a question. In the book, there was the part about feelings versus emotions.
Yeah.
And I had to read it twice, and I was still like, okay, I'm confused about what are my feelings versus emotions. Can you you touched on it a little bit, but can you just kind of sort that out a little bit?
And I believe that's a tricky thing, because so many people, we think feelings are emotions. And I did a lot of research for that chapter because I wanted to be legit. And I did so much research that I even confused myself. But in the book, what it ends up working is what you want to align with is feelings are fleeting, right? So essentially, your feelings are based off of something that has happened in the world. So you feel hurt because someone said something mean to you, whereas an emotion comes from your soul. I have to follow my heart's calling. It is like, do you get what I mean? So it's a deeper, so emotions, and yes, psychology today, there's a lot of like psychological studies that are going to just chuck them into the same. I went super deep to help, because I think if we go even deeper, we can really access that point of us that's truly calling, like it's your soul's calling. So I think in the Cliff Notes version, just know that you can categorize them as the same. It's not going to be a bad thing. When I say, how do you want to feel? Essentially, how do you want to feel, right? But feelings are fleeting. They go. So I have a blog post coming out this week about feeling lonely, recognizing that it's a feeling. Now, it's not an emotion that I am lonely. However, the emotion of loneliness would be maybe someone's been single for a really long time and they're really desperately longing on a soul level to feel love again and connected. That's an emotional connection. I hope that helps. Does that make sense? Great question. Yeah. So it looks like, okay, great. Yeah, so other questions? How are you guys liking the book? It's so cool to be on a book group here.
I love the book. It's wonderful.
Thank you.
I'm still reading it. It's been a interesting journey reading it and going through all of the different, I guess, free journal writings. I really wanted to finish it before I got on this call, but I wasn't able to. You know, for me, a lot of the things about going back and trying to remember my childhood, I had a stroke, and so I don't recall. Like, I don't remember what I was like. You know, I called up my mom, you know, and her memory was foggy. I was like, oh my goodness. But, I don't really, I don't really have an exact question. Definitely the feelings and the emotions, that was helpful, because I think that was a little bit confusing for me.
Yeah, I think it's really confusing too, because it's such deep research that I did on that. I went through like just really psychological journals, actually, and Psychology Today, just lots of trade journals. To really, we don't, as society, we don't really need to know the difference between feeling and emotions, but I really wanted to give that information so we can identify, hey, if I'm feeling something, it's going to go away. Because I think sometimes we attach ourselves to our feelings. Like when I was depressed, I thought, this is my life sentence. I'm going to be depressed forever. The doctors diagnosed me with clinical depression. But in the essence, it was emotional and a response to something in my life, a feeling. I love what you're saying, though. I don't think you need to worry. Some of the exercises in there, as far as having a stroke, if you can't remember specific things of your childhood, then your soul doesn't need you to remember. And I think honoring that is okay, giving yourself permission. Don't ever feel bad, especially reading anything that I put out, like, oh, I don't remember. I like that you asked your mom, connected in community, but ultimately I give so many resources in this book because I want it to be a layered experience, like an onion. So you get one tool, I tried that. So ultimately you open up and have the true adventure for your soul. That's why there's so many Joy Journal free writes and, you know, lots of Joy Route opportunities. So thanks so much for sharing. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
And if no one else, does anyone else have a question for you now?
Oh, yeah, sure, of course.
I'm just, so when people read through your book, I mean, do they all of a sudden have all these ahas? I mean, I had a fair amount of ahas, but I felt like I need to go back and read through, you know, the beginning of the book, because I feel like to dig deeper into myself, and so I'm just wondering the process of transforming myself to get to where I want to be.
Yeah.
You know, isn't as simple as just reading this book. You know, I mean, it is, but it isn't. Does that make sense? Or
that's a beautiful question. Yeah. And I put that out to other people because, they can answer. I think every reader, I will say, we always get exactly what we need. And I fully know that a lot of people buy my book and read maybe the intro and then never open it again, or they read maybe a chapter or two, because I do that. I buy self-help books and then I get what I need. And sometimes I open up to page, 92 and I'm like, that's exactly what I needed at that moment. And so I would say what I do hear a lot is that people with all of my writing and my books, they're just designed that way to return to multiple times, keep them on your bookshelf over the years, because each time we get into them, we get more and different tools, different things that we need. So wherever you are right now, you're getting what you need on a soul level. And then, if you feel guided to go back and go deeper, I will say if you read it all the way through and don't do the exercises, it's more like you're just taking in the information. If you do the exercises, then you're going into a soul level, and really that's where the transformation happens. Because it's like, when you do the work, it's designed that way. These questions aren't just kind of put in there. I put them in there at very specific points to really shift an awareness or shift something that's going on inside of us.
Well, thank you so much.
Great question. Good.
I just kind of have a statement, more so than a question, Shannon. So I did a lot of reading of this book just this past weekend because I had a lot of airplane time. So I really loved it. And I find myself, I guess I have a little bit more to go. So I didn't finish it totally. But I guess I'm having a hard time looking at it, a hard time because I keep switching how I'm viewing it. I read it for me in comparison to my life and, all of the things that I think about myself. But then as a health coach, so I'm wondering if anyone else on this call can relate to this, I then start reading it about other people because we're trying to help people get healthy, right? And trying to inspire them to be better people. So then I kind of catch myself falling into the, oh my gosh, this can apply to so many people I know. And how can I keep this in mind when I'm trying to help them? Because we try to help change them at a certain level, but there's a lot of layers that go into when they come to us, and some of these come out. So anyway, I was just curious if other folks have found themselves kind of going back and forth between I'm applying this to me, and then wait a minute, now I'm applying this to other people, and maybe I should just read it one time, me, and then read it a second time to others.
I will say, as a coach myself, I think we are always, you can't turn it off even when we try, because we are always improving ourselves and we always want to help those, and we're of service. That's just who we are. And I would take it as a blessing. So that's a beautiful thing that you're always thinking about the others and you're getting what you need. So I would say, please share it. Like if you have a tool in the book, use the meditations, get this information out there as much as you can. Like I love if a coach were to say, hey, there's this tool. And, I'm always quoting my coaches too. I'm like, oh, Gabrielle taught me this, and I share it in my sessions because we want to improve the world and make it a better place. We're ultimately committed to the service of others. I don't think there's anything wrong with you doing that. I think anytime we're attracted to a book or we read it for a reason, it's because our future self or our soul knows that there's multiple layers of improving. Because honestly, our business is us, right? And we become better when we show up fully for our business and clients. So amen, sister.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah. Great question. Anyone else? We got the chat, and then also you can chime in on the visual as well. I know you guys have questions.
It looks like Nicole is trying to say something, but she's not able to. It looks like her phone is not working.
Can she chat? Will you chat in the chat? Is there the chat button here? Is that open for people?
Yeah, it should be.
Oh, it looks like there's some questions here. That you did a lot of research makes me feel better about not understanding. Yeah, right. Okay, thanks. Thanks, Tammy. Mm-hmm.
I wanted to just chime in too and just say that I love your little quote about you are always exactly where you are meant to be. I had kind of an epiphany moment with a quote that it started with those exact words. And it hit me like a ton of bricks because I just finally felt validated as a mom, as a wife, that you know what, it's okay. And even if you're in a really crappy place, it is there for a reason. And then you look back at that rough time or that hard time in your life and you realize, you know what, this was part of the journey. This was part of the deal. And as much as it sucked at the time, it's like,
yeah,
you wouldn't want that to go away because you wouldn't be where you are now. So I love that's a part of your process too.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for sharing that and shining back. I think that's the truth, right? You said it best. Like, we wouldn't want to take that away from us, you know? I would never, ever trade my depression in, or my overeating and obsession, my eating disorders, because it's all helped me become who I am. Same with you guys. Whatever struggles, and we keep having more struggles, right? But each struggle, there's this huge divine lesson, like the blessing and the lesson. So it's a fun approach. I'm so glad you had an epiphany. I love that quote. It's one of my favorites. Yeah. Good. Thank you. Great. So I love your energy. Thank you. I think I get my energy from my mom. She's pretty. I honestly, when I was little, they're like, why are you so happy? I've just always had energy. But who are your favorite mentors and what books are you reading now? Such amazing. Thank you. Good. Okay. So the mentors, I always say my mentors and I always forget my mom. So I said, next time I get this question asked, I have to say my mom. My mom is definitely I call her my spiritual adventure buddy, because she's my rock. I love her. She's my best friend. I moved back to Portland, Oregon, and we live super close, so we hang out all the time. And she's my buddy. Like, I called her today when I was like, a new publisher is interested, my dream publisher, hey house, you know, and she's like, ah, so it's like super exciting. And so definitely her. But I've always been, you know, what's interesting as far as mentors, there's people out in the world, and I've had different mentors along that have really inspired me. When I was in advertising, I had advertising mentors. And then when I wanted to discover that I wanted to be a writer, I really got into Elizabeth Gilbert's work, and I fell in love with her and Elizabeth Gilbert because she just wrote from her own point of view, and she was raw. And I was like, this woman is amazing. And I found my writing style very similar, where I could just express my heart out on the paper and say, here it is. I'm not going to hold anything back. And so I made a commitment to myself that I'm just going to show up as fully as I can as a writer. And I think that integrity in the process of writing is what Elizabeth Gilbert has too. And of course, she started her journey as a travel writer, and I do travel writing too. So that was very exciting. And then she wrote this new book, Big Magic, which is all about creativity in the process, which is an amazing book. So I'm always a fan and huge fan of hers. When I first left corporate, Gabrielle Bernstein, who's the author of May Cause Miracles, at the time she was the author of a book called Add More Ink to My Life. She came into my life at the right time. Now we're more friends. I don't follow her work as much because I feel like you get what you need. And I think it's important to honor that you have mentors, coaches, spiritual teachers at the right time. And then sometimes I call it bounce out. We bounce out because we learn what we need. I have some friends who hold on to coaches who are no longer serving them. And so if you have clients that leave, like, that's good. We've helped them, right? Like, let them go flourish. And so I think that in the beginning, Gabrielle Bernstein, she showed me, she was a writer, and she was like on stage just talking about her drug addiction. I'm like, wait, I went through all that. I can talk about this too. And she just showed me what was possible. And I think having people show you what's possible, having a mentor, is really important. And today I have to say that I'm really kind of showing up fully for myself and becoming my own mentor, which is really different, like over the past few months, which is part of the Me Matters approach, like saying I can spread my wings and be the best me instead of trying to be like someone else. I want to be Shannon. I want to be all I can be. And I think that's a beautiful place to be as well. So yeah. And I can see, thanks. So great question. So I can see everything and see it. Just can talk. Oh, good. That's you guys talking. Okay, good. What books am I reading right now? What's interesting is I am like spending 6-7 hours a day writing my new book. It's called Me Matters. The name may change. It's the self-love experiment. And it's a beautiful book. I'm in love with it. And all I'm doing is writing. And when I'm in the writing process, I do not read other books because I don't want other books to influence. When I'm not writing, I read as many books as I can, get all the information, and then I will quote those books if I mention them or what may be. But so right now I'm actually in the process of just writing a full manuscript, which is usually 60 to 80,000 words. And I also always want to finish my book in a location. And so I'm also planning where I want to finish my next book, which will be in the spring here. And that's always exciting too. So each place, you know, I wrote Adventures for Your Soul in Hawaii. I thought I wanted to move there, and then I realized it wasn't for me. So I think later in the book I talk about, I moved back to Portland. And now I'm like, okay, where am I going to go? It looks like the Caribbean maybe, which is fun. Okay, what else? Yeah, it's always cool. It looks like best advice you can give for overcoming fear of public speaking, getting out of your comfort zones. Beautiful. Mandy, I love your question. So with public speaking, I say the more you do it, the more comfortable you become. And I felt comfortable in the beginning, but I didn't feel confident. So I joined a company or a group, Toastmasters, for just about 6 months, and it changed my life. So any speaking group that you can join, it's because it builds confidence. And I'd volunteer every week just to get my foot in there. And as soon as I finished the book, I bounced out. I was like, okay, I'm done. They're like, why don't you want to stay? I'm like, I just got what I needed. I needed to practice in front of people. And I think that that's what you want to do. The more you can practice. Another thing that I would do is I would write out little speeches and I would practice in front of my computer and record it as if I was talking in front of an audience. And you can watch yourself and see yourself and kind of gauge. But I promise you, the more you do it, the better. And so for me, you have to just do it. One of the other kind of tips I had was action brings clarity. The more action we take, the more confident we get and the more clear we get. And so in the beginning, if we're scared of public speaking, but we know what we want is on the other side of that, then just get out and public speak. Because usually after you say the first couple words, it goes away. And I will tell you one tool that has changed my life. It's to drop from your head to your heart. So there was a couple times I'll share, like when Adventures for Your Soul first came out, I was invited to go on TV, which is funny. It's just 6 months ago. I've been in business for 6 years. And I was so in my head, I was like, the publisher's going to watch this video. The book just came out, that I got really nervous and I was messing my words up. And I was like, this doesn't make sense. I am a public speaker. And I was getting sweaty and I was getting really anxious. And then flash forward to, I was just on there a couple weeks ago and I committed to myself before I went in. I said, just speak from your heart. And it was just a couple weeks ago. Afterwards, the producer sent me a message and said, that was by far your best segment ever. It's amazing. Like, you were glowing. And the thing is, I was 100% in my heart and I wasn't worried about what I was saying because I knew the right message was going to come out. And when we're truly in a place of service and knowing that we have something that others need to hear, it's not about us at all. It's not about how we look. It's not about what we wear. It's not about even like our makeup. It's just about what you have to offer. That's one of the reasons I'm so happy to be here with you guys tonight. Because look, we're all hanging out on a Monday night, book clubbing it with Adventures for Your Soul. So honestly, the best public speaking advice is to get out of your head and just 100% jump into your heart. I hope that helps. The best nugget for us coaches to be the best coaches. Yeah, you're doing it. Yeah, you're doing it. And I say that because I always ask that question to my business coach, and he's like, just showing up for coaching. He's like, we're sponges, right? We want to be better. We want to do the best we can. And I want to say, as long as you're showing up for you, you're doing it. You're here on the call. You're reading self-help books. You're wanting to be better. That means you're taking in all the information you're getting. And that means that you are exactly where you need to be to talk to the clients that are coming to you. And I think on that note, it's really important to know that sometimes the clients, in the very beginning, I would get very anxious with my clients. My mom's a life coach too, not so much anymore. But in the beginning, I'd call her. I'm like, do they talk a lot? Like, should I be talking more? You know, she's like, no, I don't, right? Usually they talk a lot. And I realized that every client that comes to you gets exactly what they need, and you get exactly what you need as a coach, whether it be certain teaching modalities that you need to do, whether it be speaking up, whether it be to hold back and let them really get access to their truth. So every coaching session, before I go in, I align and I say, we are all going to get exactly what we need. And that has actually helped my business expand. Now I'm attracting these people who are just beautiful, ready, and I'm in this place, right? So just know that it's law of attraction really at play. And I think that that's really interesting. So, yeah, thank you. I love what I do. I love hearing you talk. I know, it's exciting. I could talk for hours on this. Thank you. I hope that helps. Yeah. And then I will say one other thing to be the best coach possible is to stop comparing yourself to other coaches. I have to say that because there are so many other people doing what we do, but nobody's you. Nobody. And nobody has the exact same tools. So as soon as I had to unfollow certain coaches that I love, they're my friends, but I kept seeing them in their packages they were releasing, and it was distracting me. And I made a firm commitment to my business, and I said, I'm just going to put more of me in my business, and that means focusing on what brings me joy. And the more I did that, and the more I filtered out the competition, or as I don't call it competition, because ultimately there's so many people out there that need help, that we all have a certain people that will come to us, right? There's lots of people who don't like play with the world at all that I'm not going to ever reach, but then there's a lot of people that I will. So focus on your audience. Don't try to get other people's audiences, because people will come to you if it's you in alignment with yourself. And so I think to be a best coach, stop worrying about what everyone else is doing, even their prices. Just pick a price that's right for you. Do what's right for you, because that's when the right clients will come to you. Does it make sense? Yeah. So we have a question coming in. I'm bad at negative self-talk. I know you said shift our thoughts to be more loving. Can you expand on that? Ways to overcome this negative habit? Absolutely. First, just asking that is great, because you're saying I want to go deeper on this. So anytime a negative thought comes in, I want you to be aware of it and just say, oh, okay, interesting. And you can almost have like a kind of outer body reaction to it. Like, well, this isn't, this is a thought, but it's not actually truth. It's not my reality. Like, oh, I ate an extra cookie, I'm so fat and bloated. It's basically taking the judgment out of the self-talk. And excuse me. So there's a judgment that comes, and there's this blame that comes, and that's what you want to become aware of. What actually hurts us more than our habits and more than the negative self-talk is the judgment and the condemning. So become aware of that by simply become aware by not having a judgment, but simply analyzing it from almost like an outer body experience. And I started to do that in the beginning. I was like, oh, interesting. I hate myself. I don't like looking in mirrors, all these things that I talk about in the Me Matters chapter. And then I started to shift it by saying, okay, well, a more loving thought would be like, you know what? You did the best you could today. You showed up and you did go to the gym, right? Like all these things. Maybe you didn't go for as long as you wanted, but you showed up. And so it's about actually shifting to what you are doing and how you are showing up for yourself. And you do it moment by moment, time and time. Here I am, 6 years into my business, and it gets a lot easier, I promise. But I will tell you, it still comes up because it's a practice. And you just show up by, I call it sucker punching those negative thoughts. So if the negative thought comes in, sucker punch it with 3 positive thoughts. Like if you're like, oh, I didn't have any time to do what I wanted today, just sucker punch and say, but you showed up for your family, but and you like, kind of funny. You can kick the air too and like work out your arms as well. So it's good workout. Yeah. Good. I hope that helps. Let me know if that helps. And then if you do go to the Me Matters chapter, do the exercises in there. That will really help as well. If you could only give someone one piece of advice to live the joy route, what would it be? So, Katie, great question, but I think I'm a little confused. If you could only give someone one piece of advice to live their joy route. Okay, so to live your joy route is about getting in touch with your joy and what brings you the most happiness. And knowing, I'm going to talk on this, and then maybe the nugget of wisdom will come out in there, because what brings me joy might not bring you joy, or might not bring your significant other joy. But when you are joyful and living your joy, that brings them joy. The people who really love and support you, they become uplifted because you are the happiest version of you. So, a good example is I had a boyfriend who didn't like, Garfield and Muppets, but I love them. I love those. And Garfield had a movie come out and I really wanted to see it. And he's like, I don't want to see it, right? Silly thing. It just came up to my mind. So I'm giving you the example. But it's like, he didn't like the Muppets and it caused this fight. And I was like, well, I like the Muppets. So I'm going to go watch the Muppets. And I honored my joy. And he didn't have to, because it didn't honor his joy and I didn't need him to come see it with me. So I think to honor your joy route, you don't need others to honor your joy route with you. You just are convicted inside that you are doing what's right for you. And this by no means is saying I'm selfish, I'm going to abandon everything and I'll walk away from all I know. No, because that's not really what would bring you joy. Ultimately, the thing you've created, this life and this family, is part of what brings you joy. But maybe you do want to take a retreat to Costa Rica, or you do want to go on a yoga, retreat or something. Allow yourself to follow through on these little inklings that come, because that's going to make you feel more fulfilled and show up more fully for your family, your clients, and the world. Does that help? Yeah, so in the book I talk about turning your shoulds into coulds, and it makes it a difference in my response. I thank you, Tammy, in the book I talk about a lot of times we put pressure on ourselves, and this could be good for you too, Maddie, when you talked about having negative self-talk. Sometimes we say, I should do this, Oh, the pressure. I should go to the gym. I should count my calories. I should clean up after the kids. I should. And this takes up so much of our mental capacity that we have no time to do what we love or even think positively. So just simply turning the shoulds to coulds. I could go to the gym is empowering. I could eat a salad for dinner instead of pizza left over, right? The could is a place of empowerment where should puts pressure. So that's one way to shift the negative self-talk as well. Instead of shoulding all over yourself, you simply could all over yourself. Should all over yourself. We don't need to do that. Yeah, it's good. I love that one too. It's a fun one. It really helped in my life. Good. Okay, other questions, you guys? I think we have just 5-10 more minutes here. Close out. I don't know how long you guys usually go, but it's nice seeing all your faces. Hello.
Hello.
So good. Anything come up for you guys in the book or just about life or coaching? I mean, I've been wellness coaching myself for 5 years, so if you want to pick my brain on that, I could definitely help too.
I have a question. Shannon, I don't know, did I cut someone off? Sorry.
No, you're good. Hi.
Oh, Margot, were you going to talk? I'm sorry.
Go for it.
I was just going to ask, and this is, I hope that this is not a crazy question for some of the people on the call who don't have kids. But one thing that popped in my head as I was reading this book is, do you have any words of wisdom? And I know you don't have kids, but I still think you have words of wisdom on this as far as raising kiddos to lead a more joyful, authentic life and be kids. And, when do we stop? Or when do we start, like, shoulding all over ourselves and the negative self-talk? Does anyone else that occur to anybody else besides me? Like, there's a point where we shift into not loving ourselves and being really bound by what we should do. And
Absolutely.
Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, 100%. I think it does start in childhood, and I see it quite often because we as parents, do you have children?
Yeah, 3. Mm-hmm.
3? Oh, good. Yeah. I think we want to do the best we can and raise them to be the best we know how. And what I would say is I believe truly that my mom and dad instilled this sense of allowing me to be who I am at a very young age. And they allowed me to make my mistakes. Of course, there was punishment if I was snuck out at night or whatever in the teenage years. But I'm talking about in the beginning, if I said I want to try art, they really allowed me to express myself. And I know all of you guys are doing that, but I can't stress it on a deeper soul level that if I wanted to stop, they allowed me to stop. Because there were some things that we don't have to force our children to do something because we need to teach commitment. They're going to let us know what they're going to be committed to. And so for me, my mom, I wanted a piano, so instead of buying a piano, they rented one. And then after a couple, I wanted a piano so I could express myself freely and play. They wanted me, if a piano was in the house, I had to take lessons, right? I'm sharing this as an example because I think what it comes back down to is, so if I didn't take lessons, they put parameters around it. And honestly, I'm okay not being a pianist now. I turned to journaling instead, and I became a writer. So I think at a very young age, your children are giving you clues, and their curiosity is the best form that we can honor. And I think allowing them to be curious and allowing ourselves to be curious about life as well and sharing what we're interested in and taking all the shame out of everything. There's no shame necessary. We don't have to ever say, oh, I can't eat this in front of our children. Or we don't have to say, don't eat that, that's going to make you fat or anything, because the shame is what causes the most frustration and guilt in our life. And I think that's when we stop being kids, because we have shame around who we are. But it's a human, it's the ego, it's the human coming in and saying you can't be who you really want to be. But our soul knows that we want to be who we want to be. So I think the best thing we can do is just allow ourselves to be who we are and allow our children to be who we are. And in that experience and the expression, we all flourish together.
Thank you.
Yeah, great question. Thanks, Jessica. Was there another question that came in? Or? Great. Due to a physical disability, I'm looking at having a potential potentially changing careers. How did you know when it was the right time to take the big step to leave corporate? How did you prepare? Tiffany's great question. Thank you for passing that along. So what's interesting is I built a bridge, and building a bridge means that you have income coming in between your future self and your current self. And so for me, I freelanced in advertising. So I left corporate, but I still freelanced, and that was my money coming in. And the universe is the short answer to your question is the universe is going to tell you when it's time to leave, not a moment sooner. You do not have to force it. So for example, I left my company in Chicago. I left and I declared I'm going to never go back to corporate. And then 2 months later, I went back to corporate, and I went back for 8 weeks. And I got laid off, and then I tried another job in corporate. So it wasn't time for me to leave because I was still getting lessons and still getting money. The universe will tell you. So all you have to do is keep taking action steps to prepare your financial stability. Keep showing up by bringing in clients on the side or whatever it is your business is building. Keep being open to awareness, what's coming up for you as far as like maybe other job opportunities. And the universe will close that door when it's time. Truly, you don't have to force it. A good example I talk about in Adventures for Your Soul, I talk about it in one of the chapters. Right before I left, I was still freelancing for a large firm. Most of my business was coming from one company, and they paid like 80% of my bills, basically. It's like a big check. I just did the work, and they paid. And they laid me off, and they said, we don't need your service. And then a couple days later, I got the Adventures for Your Soul contract, and then my life coaching practice picked up. So it was about the timing. The universe answered it for me. So let the universe do his thing. Her and his. I don't really know if it's a her or him. So, okay, good. What else we got? Anything else, you guys? One more question? Who wants to be the last question? You guys all good?
Well, I saw Gina had one before. I think you missed about time management and what kind of system you use.
Oh, is this on the
Yeah, I think it was a while back in the chat.
Oh, thanks for reminding me. I totally missed it. So the question, I'm going back to see, it's what time management do I use, or what was the exact question? I do not. Oh, wait. I do have the question, though. How do you manage your time? Do you use some sort of planner? How do you plan out your days in order to make sure you have time for yourself? Oh, good. Great. Okay. Thank you so much for reiterating back to that, Carla. I totally missed that. Sorry about that. So for me, I'm a list person. I actually make lists. Let's see here. See, you guys book. I don't know if you can see all my coaching and book clubs on the list, right? So I section out my day. I find that I am motivated to write at certain times of the day. So when I'm writing my book, I also have life coaching throughout the day. And then I teach. I'm a teacher at the local art institute, which is amazing. I love teaching. So I teach writing and public marketing and public speaking classes there. So I teach on Fridays. So I know my days of Fridays are teaching, preparing lesson plans like Thursday or whatever. And then each day, so I have like specific times that I coach, and I do not waver. I think in the beginning I was all over the place. I'm like, oh, you want to meet? Let's meet. And it wasn't until I got very clear about this is my coaching schedule. Because as a coach, we have to honor ourselves. And my business coach actually said, you need to get a very, very clear schedule. And that changed everything. These are my slots. Of course, there's a couple people where I'm like, if you really can't make this time, of course, make an exception. But so I know from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock every day I'm in coaching. And then I have another evening session. And so between there, and I use Time Trade, works really well for me for booking. I like it. It's affordable. They can change it to their time zone. And then the other time I'm doing writing. Right now I'm in book writing mode. So most of my day is book writing. I schedule breaks every couple hours. I get up, stretch, walk my dog, get a smoothie, whatever that may look like. But to me, I'm very self-motivated, and I think that plays to time management. And I think if you have a lot of other things going on in your life, of course you do, it really comes back down to finding when you work best. So if you are writing a book, are you a morning person or an evening person? Elizabeth Gilbert, she's got a family, and a lot of, Brene Brown, I love her too. She's got a family, and she said, okay, I'm in writing mode. The next 2 hours I'm going to be writing. And so her family knows that that is her work time. So I think it's about honoring that. Yeah. Good. I hope that helped.
Anybody else have any final questions?
Well, it's so good. I hope you guys are enjoying the book. You can definitely reach out to me. I'm very available on email. You can reach out through my Facebook page, Shannon Kaiser Writes, or just go to playwiththeworld.com. I love to hear how readers are doing throughout and after the book, and just I like connecting with you guys. So forevermore, we're soul sisters.
Thank you so much.
Yes, Shannon, thank you
guys.
so much for sharing your time and expertise. This has been amazing.
It's so great seeing you all. Great work, ladies. Keep it up.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Have a
you.
great evening.
Bye, guys. Thanks.
Bye bye.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much.